Listen to the opening bit of Rez Infinite, played by a first-timer. And now the same bit played by a more experienced player. That's the magic of Rez. I'm Lens of Truth, and it's time to talk about the music of Rez. You can pick your version. Footage in this video comes from Rez Infinite. If you don't know what Rez is, I don't blame you. As Thomas L. McDonald put it in a 2002 article for Games, Rez is a game that carves out its own niche, the art house, abstract, musical, rail shooter. The result is awesome, but trying to describe it in words is like trying to sculpt Jello. Simply put, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. Oh yeah, you can just feel that cash loosening from your wallet. Still, incomprehensible descriptions aside, McDonald is absolutely right. Rez is awesome, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before. You may ask yourself, but why? The graphics are nice and refreshing, and the rail shooter mechanics seem alright, but so what? It's not about what you see, but what you hear. So Rez is a music game then? Not quite. It's a rail shooter, and the rail shooter mechanics are pretty simple. While holding X, you can lock onto enemies and projectiles by passing over them with the reticule, up to 8 at a time. When you release X, you fire shots that home in on the targets and destroy them. You can only be damaged by projectiles, so those take priority. You can also grab overdrive pickups which auto-fire on targets for a few seconds, and experience points which are used to level up. And that's really it, pretty simple. Arcade-like, I'd say, though that's a topic for another day. Yet woven through these mechanics is the music. In the game, your avatar, a virus named Swayzak, is trying to hack into the computer super network Project K to reboot the artificial intelligence Eden. This is only relevant because it gives an in-universe explanation of why all the music is electronic. Each of the 5 areas is separated into sub-levels. In the first sub-level, you're given a little intro to the background music with few instruments. But as you progress through each gate to subsequent sub-levels, additional voices are added as the music gets more and more hectic, favoring a driving, pulsating beat. On top of that are environmental sounds. Most enemies are fairly silent, unless they're able to damage you in some way, like these bouncy guys, or these green blade things. And you'll hear distinctly when an enemy fires at you. This is the soundtrack alerting you to danger, and every action you take makes a sound. Pressing down X makes a sound. Targeting an enemy or projectile makes a sound. Grabbing pickups makes a sound. Leveling up makes a sound. Destroying enemies and projectiles makes a sound, unique to each target. And when you level up, you get different, more satisfying targeting and firing sounds. So you're rewarded for reaching higher levels. And you can lose this reward by taking damage, which brings you down a level. So even without covering the most important musical aspect, which we'll get to, we see music used in a variety of ways, as background, an alert to what you're facing, and a reward for leveling up. But now, the most important musical factor, which I demonstrated in the opening, maxing out the targeting. You'll notice targeting individually does produce sound effects, but it's not what you'd call cohesive. but if you start chaining targets, you get small, melodic phrases depending on the number. Maxing out the counter with 8 targets scores you a longer, melodic phrase punctuated by a vocal harmony. And if you're worried about being terrible at rhythm games, don't be. Your melodic phrases will always be in time with the background music due to quantization. Creator Tetsuya Mizuguchi said that quantizing felt like magic to the players, drawing them in, as opposed to scaring them off with rhythmic imprecision, which is why I specified that Rez isn't a music game. So it's very clear that you're intended to play the game by targeting as many enemies as possible and then firing, scoring a melodic phrase layered on top of the background and other musical effects, thereby completing the soundtrack. Playing the game incorrectly is certainly doable, but the creators do a great job discouraging it by using the melodic phrases as a reward. But at times locking onto 8 targets isn't so cut and dry. Maybe there's a projectile bearing down on you, so you have to settle for fewer targets to protect yourself. Maybe lingering on an enemy to max out the target counter will make it impossible to scroll the reticule over to other action before all hell breaks loose. Play offensive or defensive? Go for the melodic reward or stay alive? The choice is yours, but in the heat of the moment, you won't have much time to think. As always, thanks for watching. I won't go in depth on the visuals, but man, are they refreshing. Mostly sticking to wireframe models, it's amazing how each level has a distinct motif, like Egyptian pyramids or Japanese gateways. Creator Tetsuya Mizuguchi conceptualized the game as a full-body experience, which is why there was a special package version of the PS2 release that included a USB haptic feedback device, haptic meaning rumble, called the Trans Vibrator. The intent was you'd put it in your pocket or sit on it while playing? And the HD and Infinite versions of the game allow the same functionality with up to 3 additional controls. Okay, let's change the subject. This is too weird. Like Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, Rez is one of those hidden gems that very few people know about. This is my attempt to get the word out. If you have a PS4, I'd go for it. Apparently, it's an amazing VR experience as well. Just make sure you come back to our reality once in a while. If you're all about physical copies, then IAM8bit.com has got you covered. That's where I got my copy. Older versions are great too, if you were smart enough to keep your old consoles. There's also a pseudo-sequel to Rez called Child of Eden. What? It's a prequel? Whatever. There's a pseudo-prequel to Rez called Child of Eden for PS3 and Xbox 360 you could check out too, but personally, I found it to be quite lacking musically. Instead of an organically created soundtrack, you're rewarded with snippets of Janky Rocket songs. That's fine and all, but I'd rather just listen to a Janky Rocket CD than try to win small portions of their songs in a more finicky rail shooter. And that's about it. I've got a Facebook page where I recently spilled out some of my thoughts on Super Mario Galaxy 2, a number of Spyro games, and Gravity Rush Remastered. I'd love to get some video game discussion going on there, so if that sounds interesting, head on over and give it a like. I also have a Twitter account where, in addition to some video game thoughts, I've started a video game music quiz. I think I could be doing it better somehow, but for now, it's just a fun little way to introduce music I like to others. So if that sounds interesting, follow me there. Otherwise, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Until next time!